Every coffee needs a lotus.
All right, welcome back to the second part of our free learning, our free webinar. And this is brought to us by our beloved Ariva Academy. We thank resource speakers like Miss Roch. If it's okay if first name basis na lang tayo.
Yes, please.
Okay,
I encourage it.
Roch. Okay, thank you so much, Roch, for doing this pro bono.
Of course.
We appreciate
I
it a
love
lot.
the help.
And it shows how much you were able to touch these people. They have a lot of comments. For Zoom participants, please type in your questions at the Q&A box. Andyan lang yan. We encourage you to do Zoom live questions. So, of the hundreds of participants we have in this webinar, you can click the raise button. Raise button, andyan lang yan, so that we can hear you. And for our Facebook Live viewers, type in your questions on the comment section, and we'll be more than glad to answer your questions. Are you ready now, Ms. Roch?
Yep, I'm ready.
Sige, let's just greet our viewers and our participants, webinar participants from all parts of the Philippines. So let's do this alphabetically. We have one participant from Albay, Legazpi City.
Ooh, I've never been to Albay.
And we have 7 from Angeles City.
Yes.
Oh, Pampanga. Na Kenny Abe. Ayan, oh. So, Bacolod City, we have 2. Baguio City, we have 2. Cagayan de Oro City, 4. Cebu City, 3. Dagupan City, 2. Davao, 6. Davao City, 6.
Wow.
Dumaguete City, 12. They always, on a daily basis, no lower than 12 participants. Thank you for your support, Dumaguete. Iloilo City, 1. Negros Oriental, 1. And Pampanga, 14. Hello. Ang dami mong fans. Miss Roch, ha?
Pampanga.
Diba? Kasi we have 7 from Angeles and then we have 14 from Pampanga. So you do the math. Pangasinan 1, Siquijor 3, Tarlac 1, Zamboanga City 2.
Nice.
Okay, so, diba? Imagine, not only that, this will be uploaded on YouTube and millions more people would be able to see this. Thank you so much for your generosity.
Not intimidating at all. It's a million.
Well, this to encourage you.
Yes.
And affirm how important your role is today. So the first question we have is a Q&A box. What if you are watchful of your tone, your pitch, and cadence, but the receiver still reacts differently?
So there were so many hats that I had to wear in so many facets of an organization. And I get this. I truly get this because there are people who have such a hard shell, and it's so difficult to get through to them. One, probably explore. You might want to explore that one of the reasons why the receiver still reacts differently towards your message is because masakit to, but maybe they don't trust you enough. That's the sender. And so what you want to do in those kinds of cases is, what I do is when I can't seem to get through to somebody and I can't seem to establish that trust between me and that person, I try to work with another coworker or somebody else who will help me get through to that person. Because again, it's all about trust. Communication, leadership will always be based on trust. You won't get a follower. You won't have a follower unless they trust your consistency. And unless your consistency is there, they might not ever, and I'm hoping that that's not the case, but they might have a very difficult time to trust your message. So that could be one example. Maybe there was something that happened in the past where you said something you did not know. Maybe that's a time for you to start trying to open up those communication lines and get that conversation going, so that you can start kind of reconciling how you can communicate together going forward. But then maybe there are times when the leader is new and the trust just really hasn't been established yet. And so if your pitch tone and your cadence still won't work, then maybe they just don't know you yet. And so you have to take time. And that's the reason why when Simon Sinek said, pick up the phone and ask them how they're doing, that totally resonated with me, because that's the first step to gaining somebody's trust. Yeah.
I love what you mentioned, Ms. Roch. I love it.
Cool, thank you.
Communication really is all about trust. Leadership is also about trust.
Absolutely.
So having a bridge or a conduit or somebody to speak in your behalf is a good thing.
Yes.
Now we have a Zoom live question. Let's welcome none other than Karen Kiamco.
Hi, Karen.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
Yes, we can hear you, Ma'am Karen. We can already hear you. Ma'am Karen?
She might not hear us.
Can you hear us, Ma'am Karen? Okay, so it seems like we're having some technical glitch, but it's okay. So we can always call back Ma'am Karen. In the meantime, let's proceed to the second question on our Q&A box. So I'm not sure if it's a question. Miscommunication when it comes to reading text messages, comments, and instructions.
I think it's a comment.
It's a comment, no?
Or unless it's a question. If it is a question, then maybe the question could be, could there be miscommunication when it comes to reading text messages, comments, and instructions? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Because when you're reading it, you're reading from your tone of voice, you're reading from your pitch, you're reading from your cadence. And so it's so easy to misinterpret text messages or anything that's written that is in a written form without the tone. And that's the reason why the basis for all of my training ever since I became a trainer was it's not what you say, but it's how you say it all the time.
I agree. Yeah. Thank you. Next question. How do you deal with a new boss who always mentions in emails, meetings, there's many loopholes before he came in, which most know he is not just aware of the existing process. You think it is due to stress in current situation ECQ and working from home? From anonymous attendee. I'm sure you can read it.
Yeah, I can. It could be so many things. But what's I think what the overall tone here is this is probably someone who is struggling, or this is a leader who is probably struggling to pick up from wherever the previous leader left off. And so I don't know what the entire scenario is, but let's say, for example, the scenario is where, and I've done this, I inherited a team without getting the proper endorsement from my predecessor. So I did not know what was going on, how decisions were made, why things were done in the way that they were done, and so on and so forth. And so I struggled at that time to pick up the pieces because I didn't know how things were decided on. And so do I think that it is due to stress in current situation, ECQ, and working from home? That could be added. So it could be an additional factor. It could be an additional consideration, but it's not. I don't think, and again, I don't have the bigger picture, but I don't think that the ECQ and working from home is the end all be all reason for this leader to keep on mentioning what was either done or not done in the past.
Thank you, Ms. Roch. I think going back to what you mentioned, I loved it when you said Simon Sinek not only is asking for leadership but followership.
Yes.
Maybe they can support this leader.
I agree. Absolutely. Thank you for bringing that up, Howell. It's all about, and I used to, for an entire week, I was following, I was assisting two leaders or two trainers who trained extreme ownership. If you have read the book Extreme Ownership, there were two trainers in my previous organization who were flown in. Who flew in those two trainers and started talking about extreme ownership. And the common question was, what if your own boss does not have extreme ownership? What if they don't own up or are not, they're not acting responsible for whatever decisions that were either made in the past? Kahit na hindi nila decision, kasi they still represent the entire company. And so what you want to do in those situations is, again, the only person who you can control is yourself. And so when that time comes, what you want to do is you want to step up and be the leader that you want that leader to be.
Wow. Pang Miss Universe yung sagot mo, Miss Rocha.
Kulang lang po ako sa katangkaran.
Hindi, pero ikaw naman, you are beautiful inside and out, and that's enough.
Thank you.
Now, we have one live question from Gino Cabigao. Gino?
I know this person.
Oh, you know this person. Good.
Yes, I do.
Okay, Sir Gino.
Hi, hello.
Hey, Gino.
Hey, Miss Raj, how are you? Great presentation.
Good. Thank you. Good to see you.
Good to see you. So, I have a question when it comes to types of events due to the work from home situations that many of us are facing. What type of, when it helps for help with communications, are there any sort of events or any sort of any sort of events that can help out when it comes to making communication good, keeping communications at home when it comes to this? So do you have any suggestions when it comes to events where people can enhance communication skills or such? Because I know that was a big part of your presentation, communication.
Is it to keep communication going between leadership and everybody else, or is it training people how to communicate?
I guess both, just to sort of like keep people engaged. So I guess making sure that communication is constant between employees, between their bosses and employees. So are there any sort of engagement factors that can help out when it comes to making sure communication lines are still open during these times?
Good question. So this is mixing up the trainer and the event planner in me.
Wow.
You know me too well, Gino. And so I have seen a lot of organizations popping up because I've been monitoring all of the virtual events that have been happening. And in the event planning industry, a lot of the conversations have been, we need to pivot to virtual. There are a lot of debates on what events can be done virtually and what cannot. But I have been seeing organizations where they're doing Zoom rooms and like happy hours, and I'm sure that you see this too, Gino. And so the reason why I bring up those kinds of engagement activities, because you can only do so much in a virtual world. So I've seen either happy hours, people bringing their own drinks. Like, for example, Howell probably has his own cup of coffee. I have my mug of tea with Pampanga, proud, with Pampanga on my mug. And so it could be like, and I've seen this tagged as well, E, as in letter E, Noom. And so maybe to keep the lines, again, I'm going to go back to the basics of communication. You cannot keep the communication going unless there is trust. And so I think one of the best ways that you can do it right now is, what if, for example, we ask some key leaders to have like those coffee sessions online with some, let's say, employees, right, from different departments, and it could be sort of like a smaller town hall or of some sort, where it's a casual conversation and they just talk about like what's going on in the world and so on. Because even though you communicate, even if your format is great, even if the graphics are wonderful and it's beautifully laid out, people are not going to absorb that information unless they absolutely trust the source, and unless they absolutely trust the leaders that the message is coming from. And so I would say the types of engagement events that you'd probably want to do are those pockets of events where I've been invited to a party where there are multiple DJs playing at different hours and stuff, and it's like a club of some sort, but then it's not really a club, so I don't really feel it. And there's so many people, but there are no conversations, right? And so in an organization, if you want to keep the conversation going, you need to make sure that the trust is consistent. And so if you want to make sure that the trust is consistent, you have to keep it in smaller groups where the leaders can hear and listen to what the rest of the organization is trying to say. I hope that helps. I'm not sure if I hit the nail on the head.
That helps.
Okay.
That was great. Great answer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Gino, for the question, and thank you, Ma'am Roch, for the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Belen Casio from our chat box has something to say. As a leader, when one of your subordinates doesn't go along well with you and always find faults, will you still start the conversation with that person on a personal level?
I can't find the question, so can you say that one more time?
As a leader, when one of your subordinates doesn't go along well with you and always finds faults, will you still start a conversation with that person on a personal level? Fault finder.
Yes, so I can talk from experience on this.
Oh, good.
So I got kind of a little bit excited with that question, because I have experienced this many times where even if I can come across as approachable and accommodating to many, there are still some who just don't get my energy at all. We don't resonate at the same frequency at all, and that's perfectly fine, because there are people like that naman talaga. If there's a fault finder in your team who you just simply cannot keep on communicating with, I'm going to go back to my first answer, or to my answer to I think the first question.
First question.
I think it was, or the second, where I will try to have a conversation still. I will still try to open up a conversation. I'll be very honest and say, and I have done this before, where I was very honest to say, hey, I feel like there's a disconnect between you and me, and I wanted to make sure that I give you and I a shot at trying to figure this out and how we can move forward with communicating with each other, because we will be working together going forward. But I just wanted to make sure that you know how I feel about it, and I'm interested to find out how we can work this together. Because once you own what you feel, hindi to turuan na, wag kang magtuturo na. Don't blame the other person and say, because you did this and you're doing this to me, you're rolling your eyes at me, and you did this and that. What you want to do is you want to mirror it from what you're feeling and what you're doing, and say, I'm trying to reach out to you. However, I feel like every time that I do, I feel like there's this wall between you and me. And I correct me if I'm wrong, correct my perception if I'm wrong. But that's how I feel, and I wanted to make sure that I'm clarifying that with you so that I'm not basing it on assumptions. Maraming namamatay sa akala. And so the answer is yes, I would. I would attempt to have that conversation. And even if after that conversation, it still is icy, that's the time when I would go to somebody else who I can trust, who is very trustworthy, very mature enough to handle a conversation like that. Wag yung may intention na i-chismis sa lahat na, uy, si ganito, hindi siya nagkakasundo with somebody else and stuff like that, right? And so I go to somebody else who I trust can help me get through to that person if my message just doesn't come across either clearly or they just don't want to listen to me.
Thank you for sharing your experience with us.
Sure.
And then Jose Beroya Jr. Can you please flash the message, or you can just share it with us?
Yeah.
Is it about courage? If I'm, I don't know.
The one for desktop was
desktop.
Your courage is greater than any fear. Be brave. You got this.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can still remember. Really.
If you want a copy of it, again, you can go to YouTube and do a screenshot. If not, then my email address was on the last slide in case any of you want to reach out to me personally.
Thank you, Ms. Roch. Ben Francis Rances.
Yes.
How do you inspire your teammates to remain optimistic? Ang context niya, the upper management slightly, well, I love the word slightly, puts pressure on your sales at a critical time like this pandemic.
So it's a tricky question because I also recently attended another webinar where there were sales experts naman. And so to be honest with you, everybody, this entire time, I think I've attended too many webinars where I don't even know where I'm getting all of this information, but I'm learning so much. And so what they consistently say among the sales experts is you need to make sure na during this time, it's not about the remaining optimistic. It's not about that at all. What you want to do is you want to go back to your company's mission. Why do you exist as an organization? Why are you selling either your services or your products? How is it going to benefit whoever your audience is, whoever your target market is? And also for those who and I can relate to this only because I've heard of stories where and I've attended some sessions where it seemed like a sales pitch to me. And so there's what they call, one sales expert actually quoted and said and called it the COVID cloak. The COVID cloak is, okay, for the first 2 minutes, I'm going to be talking about COVID, the impact of whatever this crisis is on all of us. But then here's our usual pitch. Here's our usual product. Here's our usual whatever. And so what I would say to this is inspiring your teammates. It's not about inspiring your teammates to remain optimistic. It's inspiring your teammates about why your organization is offering those products and services and how it could help people become better even in a time like this.
Wow. In fact, yesterday, Coach Ben mentioned something to that effect, that we don't sell products, we sell solutions.
Yes. That's real.
That's a better way of putting it. Now, we have an FB Live question, if it's okay.
Yeah, sure.
So from Jong Aquino, what to do with personnel who doesn't follow communication protocols? Ito na.
So I don't know what, again, so there are so many different scenarios. There could be so many different reasons why somebody doesn't follow a communication protocol. And there are always two sides to the story.
Yes.
I don't know what the entire story is. I don't know what that big picture is. But to answer, what I would do if somebody does not follow communication protocol, veers away from it, and distorts the message, what I would do is I would set that person aside. if it were in person, I'd be talking to them in person.
Oh, yes.
But right now, the only way that you can do it is you have to call them. Either call them, do a video call, ask them what their intention was. Because for all you know, it was a good intention, but the execution was poor. It was poorly done, and because the execution was poorly done, chances are it came out to be miscommunication for everybody. And again, I'm going back to when there's miscommunication or lack of communication, it breeds uncertainty, it breeds fear, it breeds paranoia. And you just have to not hammer it down on the person, but you need to make sure that you help them understand why it's very important to follow communication protocol. Because again, your intention naman as a leader is to make sure that we are not breeding the uncertainty, that we're not breeding the fear and the paranoia in people. And very important, just make sure that you're setting that person aside, have that one-on-one with them. The first question really that you've got to ask is what was your intention? Why did you decide, or what led you to decide what you did? Be very careful with how you construct your questions, kasi baka mamaya pag sinabi mong when you say why did you do what you did, it comes off as very accusing.
And so magmukhang probing.
Pwede. And you can also say something like what led you to decide to do whatever that was, right? And so when you come off as that, you come off from a place where you want to understand why that person is doing it. And then you go back to, why do I need to talk to you about it right now? Because my intention here is to make sure that nobody panics. And that's it.
And if I also may add, maybe this person is not aware of the protocol.
Yes.
Or thinks na he's obeying or following the rules that were set by the organization. So, balik tayo dun sa interpretation, ano?
That's true.
Ayan. Ito, related to sa next question. From Jean Tabora, I'm running a service business with staff who are undergrads or... Ayokong gumamit ng word. Ayoko yung word na just undergrads or high school graduates. Any additional techniques to successfully communicate with them?
Speak in their language.
Speak their language.
Speak their language. As in, I was in an organization where we were doing a ton of e-learning sessions that were all in English. Ang problema, probably 40% of the business in that site was probably not as well versed in the English language. And so because that skill set was not there, some of the e-learning courses that we did not resonate with them. They could not absorb what they could take away from it, only because there was a language barrier. And so the one thing that we started exploring was we needed to make sure and it was very difficult to switch in e-learning courses from English to different dialects. Because here in Pampanga especially, and I'm pretty sure that those who are in Pampanga in any of the chat rooms right now can relate to this. It's a melting pot of so many dialects here. And so you're always bombarded by sure, there's majority of the people who you hire could communicate and can understand, can comprehend in the English language. But there are those who you hire for their skills, but not necessarily for their communication skills, right? And so the one thing that I found that was very that resonated with this 40% in the group was when we started translating in the dialects. Dialects, not even so. Speak their language. Yes.
Speak their language.
Yes, because again, I mean, it sounds. All of the questions, I'm very passionate about all of the questions because right now, even I'm getting a refresher on the basic model of communication. Kasi if you have people who don't understand you, baka mamaya ang kailangan mo pang i-review. Should I be speaking in this language or should I change it to make sure that people really understand it? Like right now, there's also sign language, right? So right now in news clips, you don't just have the video and the audio, but you also need to make sure that there's an interpreter in the corner or on the screen as well to interpret that message for those who use sign language. So very simply put, and this can go on, but I think the most tactical thing to do is to speak their language.
Thank you, Ms. Roch. And I love the fact that people are, owning it. They're owning it. They're not putting the blame on their staff or in their people. So if there's miscommunication, they are asking themselves, is something wrong?
Yes.
That's a good thing.
You always have to go back to, and that's true, you have to go back to, ano pa ba ang pwede kong gawin? So is there something wrong with how I'm communicating it? And so you review. Kasi baka mamaya kaya hindi nila magets kasi ikaw pala yung nagmi-miscommunicate.
Ayan. So from Wendy to Wason, how do you effectively encourage the frontliners of a hotel to sustain their motivation to go to work and service our clients? I think related to sa sinabi mo kanina sa sales.
Which one?
Yung
why
are we doing this?
Yes. And so that's why I smiled when I heard the question. Kasi you always go back to your why.
Go back to your why.
Yes, because if you think about it right now, the hotel employees who are also considered as frontliners, thank you very much. Thank you to everybody who are considered frontliners and doing everything that you possibly can to keep people safe and at home. I just had to say that. I absolutely believe that the reason why you go out there is to make sure we all have one mission right now, regardless of what organization we're all in. We all have to help each other get through this crisis. We all don't, there's no vaccine available yet. There's no solution available yet. And so in whatever capacity that you were trained in whatever capacity that you can help people, that's your why. And so for hotel employees, your why, for me, and this is just my interpretation of it from an outsider, but you can have a totally different one. For me, hotel employees are there to help our frontliners from the hospitals. If you're a hotel right now that are servicing all of our frontliners in hospitals, you are also there to take care of those who are trying to take care of those who are ill right now. And so your purpose, your why right now is to take care of people. And that's just a very simple way of putting it. But again, you can create your own why and your own mission.
And when they get to realize their impact, their role, their purpose, then they will not be working anymore for the money.
Yes, it becomes more meaningful when you understand why you're doing it. Yes.
Last two questions, Ms. Roch. Jen Kasupanan. Hi, Roch. I really like your topic. What is your advice to middle management who usually gets a difficult time managing the expectations of the upper management and the frontliners in communicating company BCP measures? Thank you.
Very loaded question. I also know this person. We can have a chat later. Friends, huh? Maybe. But what is my advice to those caught in the middle between cascading you're the channel. So in this case, you are the person cascading this message from leadership. What works for me all the time is what I've gotten so much from so many people is and so many experts during these past couple of weeks was you have to stick to your facts. So regardless of what leadership, not even regardless, you can't disregard what leadership says, but make sure that you're extracting what those facts are and communicating it to your audience, to your teammates, to your employees. I'm going to go back to one of the things that I was talking about earlier for moving your team out of fallacy. I forgot. Out of moving your team out of. I even forgot. Moving your team out of the fairness fallacy. And so moving your team out of the fairness fallacy, what we talked about there was you need to make sure that you are holding up that mirror in front of whoever you're talking with and say, look, this is what we're dealing with right now. I don't like it. You don't like it. And right now, to make sure that you are safe, because again, you're trying to tap into their needs, their very basic physiological and safety needs. To make sure that you are safe, that we can still secure your job, here's what was decided, to make sure that we keep that intact. Now, if you have any questions or if there's any concerns that you want to raise, I'm all ears, and I can be that channel and let leadership know what your thoughts are on that.
Beautiful answer.
I hope that answers.
And the last question, ito si Erica Ancheta. Ma'am, paano po maging effective ang communication kung ang iba po ay hindi po techie? Hindi techie type na tao, lalo na po ngayon na hindi naman po lahat may social media. Thanks po.
So I am assuming that this is a scenario where
A technical person talks to a non-technical person
who doesn't use Zoom, who doesn't use Messenger, who doesn't use social media.
Paano raw yung effective communication? Tagalogin mo ha? Kasi ang tanong Tagalog.
Yes. I was going to get... ito! Telepono ko. So, pag ang tao walang Zoom, or let's say hindi siya techie, go back to the basics pa rin. Yung basics ba natin, nung time ba na wala tayong social media, walang Zoom, walang Facebook, walang Messenger, walang Instagram, wala. Ano ba yung mode of communication natin lagi? Landline. Ako naaalala ko pa nun. Bless my parents, they're watching right now. Bless my parents, they blessed me with my own landline phone.
Wow.
When I was younger.
Yan ba yung rotary dial?
Hindi naman.
Hindi mo inaabot yun. Ako, inaabot ko yun, ha? Inaabot ko yun.
Naabot ako. Pero bata pa ako nun.
Okay.
Pero, so I had my own landline phone, and so you go back to the basics. Kung may landline ka at may landline yung kakausapin mo, balikan mo. And so, yun yung babalikan mong practice. Kasi, ang isa sa mga natutunan ko, again, i-quote ko na naman si Chief Massey of the When and Now agency, na crisis communication expert. And si Simon Sinek, kung walang technology, the one thing that you can rely on is your voice. Hindi naman kailangan na mag-Zoom hindi naman kailangan mag-Messenger Pwede naman na telepono lang, pwedeng landline, pwedeng mobile phone, 'di ba? Kung hindi man sila techie, hindi ka makakagawa ng effective communication that way, then it's fine. Ang kailangan mo lang gawin, kausapin sila. And that's the reason why in the beginning portion of this entire webinar, I said, it's time to have real conversations.
Real conversations.
Yes. And so, no matter what your channel is, kung techie o non-techie, ang dami wala na tayong excuse para mag-communicate marami na tayong channels of communication. So, balikan mo, landline or mobile phone. Hindi ko alam kung may iba pa bang way, Morse code, di ko alam. Pero I'm sure may iba pang way for those na hindi techie.
Ayan, maraming salamat. Mahusay sa pananagalog. Mahusay ka rin sa English.
Sinubukan ko po.
You're a great communicator, Miss Roch. Thank you so much for that. And thank you for your time. Everybody, big hand for, of course, Miss Roch Vilo. Ayan na, clap sila. Clap.
Salamat po.
Parting words.
Yes, I prepared parting words. Very quick lang naman to. One thing that I checked this out, and you have to remember 3 things. Is it true? Is it kind? And is it helpful?
Wow.
That's how you take care of people. Now, again, you don't forget to take care of yourself by asking for help when you don't know what to do. Ask for help so that you can take care of yourself too.
Beautiful.
Okay.
True.
Thank you.
Kind.
And
helpful.
Yes.
3 traits that we human beings should all have at all times.
Absolutely.
And thank you for your generosity, Ms. Roch. Thank you for the participants. We're not done yet. Okay? And I'd like to call on our dear President, Madam Irish Malonda Samson, to thank our sponsors who made all this possible. Again, thank you, Ms. Roch.
I'm back.
Ayan.
Wow, that was a great session. So thank you, Ms. Roch, for the tips on how we can communicate with our employees, with our subordinates. Sir
Mhm.
Howell, what is your key takeaway?
Gusto ko yung fairness fallacies na sinabi niya na people are always saying na it's not fair, nothing is fair. So ang maganda na ginawa ni Ms. Rogers, sinabi niya if nothing is fair, at least be a person with compassion who communicates with trust and be respectful. And that's my takeaway.
Wow, that's great to hear. Well, for me, what struck me most is the emotional contagion of the default leader. So, and
Oo.
communicating with your subordinates, though you're feeling anxiety as well because of these
Mm.
uncertain times,
Mm.
you still have to be calm and confident. And doon mo maire-relay yung message.
So ang
Okay?
laki talaga ng role ng leaders, no?
Yes,
So,
indeed.
Madam President, ang laki ng role mo. Thank you for making this happen. Again, shout out to our dear CEO, Sir J.M. Atienza, for making this happen. And thank you again to our resource person ngayon.
Thank you, Sir Howell. I'll be seeing you tomorrow morning.
See you tomorrow
Maraming
morning
salamat.
and in the afternoon for our HR Summit.
Okay. So, guys, this is not yet the end of our e-learning session. I have great news still for you. So, please allow me to acknowledge our win-win sponsors. We would like to thank the following win-win partners: our official media partner, Art Plus Magazine; digital media partners, Focus Media. Thank you to Globaltronics, TD Advertising Ventures, Outcome, Elevate Media. For win-win partners, thank you to Brother, Faber-Castell, Gluta-C, Moringa O2, KFC, Mr. Donut, Tokyo Tokyo, Lotus Biscoff. Thank you to Boss Job, Cert Technology Inc., Finma Properties, Parajet, Ilawi Korea. Thank you to Kittleson Carpo Consulting, Enchanted Kingdom, Disperse, and Cosmotech Philippines Inc. And for those of you who want to place your ads here, advertise your company, services, have a brand exposure to thousands of viewers, please do email us at marketing@ariva.com.ph. Again, it's marketing.ariva.com.ph. And don't forget to like our Facebook page. It's Ariva Academy Philippines Inc. Please do scan this QR code. It will be directed to our Facebook page. So don't forget to like us on Facebook. For those of you who missed watching this e-learning session and would like to watch the replay of our previous e-learning sessions, please do subscribe at our YouTube channel. It's Ariva Academy. Again, it's Ariva Academy and Ariva Talks. So please subscribe. For our upcoming online learning sessions, this will be tomorrow. On Friday, April 24, we have invited Mr. Arian Tan from Singapore. He will be discussing how to be productive when you work from home. And on Saturday, we have invited Mr. Chinkitan, the sought-after motivational speaker. Join us on Saturday, Manage Money in a Crisis, Strategies to Manage Your Money Better. And we would like to invite the HR professionals, people managers, HR executives in our first ever HR Virtual Summit PH 2020. Guys, this will be starting tomorrow. For the first series, we have invited Mr. Dixon Tang from Singapore. He will be discussing creative human capital in the aftermath of coronavirus. This will be at 10:30 to 12 noon. And back to back with, of course, our very own coach, Pia Nazareno Acevedo. She will be discussing emotional resilience strategies during the COVID-19 crisis. Her slot is at 3 to 4:30 p.m. And this is a great news. We have invited the father of modern HR. This will be the second series of our HR Virtual Summit. The father of modern HR, Dr. Dave Ulrich, will be discussing HR's role in crisis, the essential role of HR during the COVID-19 pandemic. His session it will be at 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. And in the afternoon, we have invited the global thought leader, Mr. Ron Thomas. He will be discussing HR leadership in a time of crisis. His slot is 3 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. So don't forget to register. Please do visit our website. It's www.ariva.com.ph to register. Okay? And this will be on May 7th. We have Mr. Jonathan Yabot again. Online selling from home, how to use FB, IG, and LinkedIn for your business. So please do register. Also, on May 14, we have leading a work from home workforce, how to manage and develop remote teams. This will be discussed by none other than Mr. Jonathan Yabot again. And for those of you who want to have a customized e-learning session, invite Ms. Roch, invite Ms. Abigail, our Ariva partner speakers. Please do email me at irish.arivaacademy@gmail.com, or you may call me at 0916-695-4418. And that's it. Thank you so much for being with us today. Hope to see you tomorrow on our first ever HR Virtual Summit. Don't forget to register. And this is Irish Malonda Samson giving you in Ariva. It's all about being better, be safe, and stay home. Bye-bye.